I saw this on the Twitter feed yesterday from David Sirota. I wanted to share it with all of you. He says, when you could be promoting an expansion of your own party's most popular program, Medicare, and yet you still think it's the West Wing. And of course, he's responding to Senator Tim Kaine's tweet there. Tim Kaine said this gem, retweet if you want Senate Republicans to start over and work with Democrats on a bipartisan plan to improve the healthcare system. Tim, what are you doing? What are you doing? Really? You still, at this late date, you still don't get it? Like, so here's the deal. When you talk about average Joe Republicans, just regular people in the middle of the country, you poll those people, and those people on many issues, not on all, in my opinion, but on many issues, they're pretty reasonable. So they'll say, yeah, I don't want to cut Social Security. I don't want to cut Medicaid or Medicare. I think the rich should pay higher taxes. I believe in raising the minimum wage. Now, we might have some disagreements on social issues and whatnot, but they're pretty reasonable. Those people, we could work with, no problem. Regular people, of course. The Republican Party, the party establishment in Washington, no, there is going to be no holding hands and singing Kumbaya and crafting a bipartisan deal because they're monsters. Look at every single proposal they've had over healthcare. The entire point is geared towards rigging the system in favor of the rich and in favor of the corporations, the private health insurance companies, big pharma. Again, don't take my word for it. Look at any of the reviews of their proposals. I mean, look at the CBO. They say, oh, your healthcare bill cuts $800 billion from Medicaid. Wow. It gives $200,000 to every person in the top 0.1%. You're kicking 28 million people off of their health insurance, more people, to a total of about 50 million people who aren't going to have health insurance within 10 years. So you go through and you look at everything they're for. When you objectively measure it, it doesn't improve the system. It makes it significantly worse, which is hard to do given that we already have a shitty system because Obamacare is a piecemeal approach that leaves the private health insurance system intact. So there is no working with them. There is no, hey, you're a reasonable counterparty and let's talk it out and come to some sort. No, you defeat them. You crush them under your boot. That's the only approach. You twist their arm and use political pressure to force them to the proper positions. Medicare for all, by the way, is the answer. 60% of the American people want Medicare for all. 60%. There are polls that show there are more Republicans that want it than do not want it. It's a plurality of Republicans who say, yeah, Medicare for all sounds good. So, are you fucking Tim Kaine? What are you talking about? This is the same kind of nonsensical Washington bubble bullshit kind of thinking. That's like fake wisdom. Like that's fake wisdom right there. Retweet if you want Senate Republicans to start over and work with Democrats on a bipartisan plan to improve the healthcare system. There's nothing inherently good about bipartisanship. Because usually when Democrats and Republicans in the party establishment in Washington are agreeing to something, it's agreeing to screw you over and serve the corporations. So no, you have to crack some skulls in order to get it done. You have to use the power of the people and you have to push for these things. But guess what? I'm bringing this up as if Tim Kaine is like an ally and he's really for these things. He's not for Medicare for all. Of course he's not for Medicare for all. He's one of the corporate of the corporate Democrats, one of the most corporate. I mean, there's a guy who supported TPP. So it just, it frustrates me because the people who are supposed to be the more reasonable party, the sane party, the ones who are looking out more for the people, this is the kind of shit that they think like, this will help us in the next election and we'll look really reasonable. Let's be centrist and find bipartisanship. But if the Republican Party is super duper far right and the Democratic Party is center right, then your bipartisanship, your centrism between those 2 points is just far right. The Republicans are far, far right. You're center right. If you meet in the middle from there, you're far right. So that's the problem. There is no actual left pushing for the right policies that the American people want. And that's what we're here to fix, by the way. Justice Democrats. So justicedemocrats.com/donate. We're trying to raise money for our candidates because we're at an institutional disadvantage because we can't go to corporations or PACs and take money from them and then be fine when you go to a few of them. A lot of corporate Democrats can do that. So we need many donations, small dollar donations from many people. And this is the only way to move forward and where we can know our politicians are not bought. So that's the model we're taking. And what we stand for is very clear. Go to justicedemocrats.com/platform to learn about it because we're so sick of this kind of garbage thinking, which they think is reasonable, but actually it's just incredibly stupid.